every Tuesday at 4 p.m. on the West Coast, 7 p.m. on the East, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Got a very special guest in today. I'm waiting for our panelists to come on. We have Miss Audrey Bell Kearney, and she has a very interesting story and one I think that everyone needs to listen to. So you have time. Please tell your friends, even bring your children around the set and let them listen to this very important information. I'm very excited about this, and I'm just going to kick it off right now. Let's do this. Okay. Audrey Bell Kearney is a visionary leader, inventor, entrepreneur with 28 years of experience building businesses, brands, and solutions that empower others. As the founder and president of Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce, Audrey has become a trailblazer for women in business, workforce development, and economic innovation across Georgia. A lifelong career and the original inventor of the world's first plus-size fashion dolls. Audrey is also the author of 11 books and a celebrated podcast host. Over nearly 3 decades, she has coached and inspired countless entrepreneurs, especially women and those from underserved rather communities to launch and grow successful ventures. In recent years, Audrey has become a driving force in the field of artificial intelligence, AI, y'all. She founded both the Georgia AI Summit and the Georgia AI Network, establishing her reputation as a connector and thought leader in AI-driven business transformation. As the creator of 11 innovative AI platforms and tools, Audrey's work bridges the gap between technology and the real world impact, making AI accessible, practical, and profitable for everyday people. All known as the AI side hustle engineer, Audrey dedicates her expertise to helping non-technical founders, women over 50, and aspiring entrepreneurs turn AI-powered ideas into income and legacy. Her commitment to education, community, and digital equity continues to open doors for the next generation of leaders, making her one of South's most influential voices at the intersection of AI, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. Thank you so much. Let me turn on my camera. Hey, welcome to the set. Audrey,
Good
hello,
evening.
how
Good
are you?
evening. Thank you so much for having me. I'm good, and yourself?
I am terrific, and thank you so much for joining us. Let's see, we're waiting for Brother Hicks to join. He's buffering right now. But I find that what you do so inspiring, and because a lot of people they've heard about AI for the first time, but it's been around for a while. So before we get into that, how let's talk about your background as far as education is concerned, because you've been doing this for a while. You have written over 11 books. I'm sorry, 11 books and a celebrated podcast. So kind of tell us a little bit where this journey began.
It started. I was born here in Georgia, but I was raised in New Jersey, and I call it my first real business. The dolls were my first real business. I was working in corporate America, hated every second of it, and had this idea for these plus size fashion dolls just out of the clear blue sky. And took that idea, shared it with a friend, and we became business partners, and we created those dolls. And, I tell people, like, when you think something, if you really put the work behind it, you can create it. It was just the idea in my head for the dolls. And I took that idea and turned it
Okay.
into a set of dolls called the Big Beautiful Dolls. Black, white, and Hispanic. Deja, Gina, and Dawn. Those were their names. And I ran that company for from 1999 to 2005. My business partner at the time, her husband worked for Fox TV, so they had to move to Dallas for his job, and we dissolved the company. But I kept working with people. Helping them start businesses. So I became a small business consultant for the Rutgers Small Business Development Center, as well as King University Small Business Development Center in Jersey. And I stayed in that space for a very long time, just helping people and helping them get to the point where they were launching business. But what happened was so many people used to ask me the same questions: how do I do it? How do I do it? So I decided to write a book, and I wrote that book. And then when people found out about that book, they said, "Well, how do I write a book?" Then I wrote that book to tell them how to write a book, because a book is an easy way to scale yourself. So every time they would ask me a question, because I know that people wanted the information, I would just write another book. So that's why I was able to write so many books during that time. I'm actually the author of 13 books. The last three books have been all AI. We
Wow.
can talk about that a little bit later, but though that has been a journey as well. I got into tech. It was right around 1994. I had a daughter, and I wanted to switch gears and do something different. And I went to school to learn how to create websites. So I started creating websites. I started creating newsletters, and I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about it, William, that I was doing tech. I was like, I'm just a website developer at that point, using like all those tools at that time. And I'm really dating myself. Front Page was just coming out through Windows, and so I started to learn how to use Front Page, and I did that. I created websites, and then fast forward to 2013, I launched a TV network called HerTube. And it was like, at that time, if you had a Roku box, you had the little apps on the box. And I was like, well, how do I get on TV? How do I get my stuff on television? So there were companies out there that would do apps for you, and they were like 15, $20,000. And I was like, no way. I don't have 15 to
Mhm.
$20,000 to pay anybody. So I learned how to create TV apps. And that was in 2013. So I created the first Roku TV app for HerTube. We went on Roku. So anybody with a Roku box or a Roku TV could see all of the content that we had on there. And what we did was we put out a casting call for women who wanted to be on TV. We had 300 women apply. We did interviews. We got it down to 39. And out of that 39, 19 signed with us and created content every week for like maybe 2 or 3 years. And we had all of this content on Roku. And then in 2014, Amazon launched Amazon Fire TV. And it was the same kind of setup. And I was like, okay, now how do I get on Fire TV? And then in 2018, I was going to go into politics, but I realized that I'm not cut out for politics. Like you would see me probably on TikTok or Instagram doing something crazy because somebody gonna say the wrong thing to me. So I was like, politics is not gonna be good for me. And then I decided to start a podcast called Good Morning Gwinnett. So it is the number one hyper local podcast in Georgia, and I've been running that. I've been doing that podcast since 2018, and what I did was I created an Alexa app because I wanted people to be able to listen to my podcast on Alexa. Still not thinking I was an AI. I'm thinking, okay, I need to figure out how to put my podcast on Alexa so people can listen to it on the Amazon Echo and all those things. And I did that. But then other people wanted to get their podcast on there. So I started putting their podcast on Amazon as well, on the Alexa skills. So that's kind of like my journey, like how I got to where I am right now.
That's a lot to unpack. A lot to unpack. I'm sitting back in awe because you've done so much, and a lot of this you started it on your own. You went out and you learned it on your own, and I think it's absolute genius what you've done with your life. And I'm in awe right now because AI. And a lot of people don't realize that they use AI, but we use it every day. Before I get in, I have several questions, but let's welcome to the set my groove brother, Robert Hicks, and your swing sister, Tiffany Hilliard. By the way, you are a swing, right?
Me? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hola. Yes,
Hola, sis.
I am.
Yeah.
Hola.
Tiffany, I am so excited about having this young lady on. I mean, I know you read her. I sent her bio to you.
Mhm.
And it's a short, it's a great bio, but she shortened it a little bit for us, right? And I'm just in awe because not only does she create these things, she also shares that information and teaches others. So, Tiffany, what questions do you have for your sister?
Well, I would just like to say it is a pleasure in meeting you. Um, one of the questions that I have, I don't know if you had started it off. It looked like she's frozen there. Can she hear me?
I'm not sure. Audrey?
It looked like her computer froze.
Yeah, she froze a little bit. Come on. Hey, look, computers, don't be doing this to us tonight. This is very valuable information. And so let's see if Audrey can hear. Audrey, can you hear? Okay.
Yes, I
She's
can hear
having a few
you.
technical. Okay.
Oh,
Now, okay. Continue, Tiffany.
okay, so one of the questions, I don't know if you already mentioned it or not, um, is did you always have a passion for the tech, like the tech world, or did you have a passion for wanting to do something else as you was coming up in school?
So I no, I did not. I was really good in math and science in school. That's the funny part. So I love math and science, and when I got ready to go to high school, they told me to go to college and become an accountant. And I can tell you that I went to college and did absolutely nothing because I didn't want to be an accountant, and nobody
Mhm.
told me I could do anything different. So I played spades like the entire year, and they kicked me out. So, but I'm a great spades player. Um, and so, but no, I did not. So what happened was after I left college, I went back to school again to become a nurse because I was working in a hospital for like 2.5 years. Well, I was working in a hospital for 8.5 years, and I went back to become a nurse. And I remember my mom telling me, like, why are you wasting time to become a nurse? And I was like, because they make a lot of money. That was my thing. Like I was young and I wanted to just party and make a lot of money and shop. And I said, because they make a lot of money. So I went back to school to become a nurse, and I did my 2 years for nursing. And I got to my clinicals, the first day of clinicals, and I had to change a colostomy bag, and that was the end of that story. So I didn't know what I wanted to do for quite a long time. It wasn't until I had my daughter that I really started to get serious about life. I had I had seen what the good life looked like. Her grandfather was a famous boxer, and I had seen what the other side looked like, and I wanted that, but I didn't know how to get it. And so I was working in America. I worked at every second of every minute of those. I worked at Tommy Hilfiger for a minute. I hated those jobs, and it wasn't until I think it was like 1997. I read an ad in a newspaper that said you could start your own business. And I don't know if you remember, if you're in Jersey, you probably remember this, but back in the day, you would see people walking around the street like spraying perfume on people. That was me, right? So for like 2 months, from February to April, I walked the streets because they told me I could start my own business. I'm like, okay, this is great. And I walked the street spraying perfume on people, selling like bottles of knockoff perfume for like $20. And I offer every bottle, I made $1. And it was like, once you sell so many bottles, you'll be able to get your office. And so that really kind of put me out there into like the entrepreneurial world, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I liked the feeling of being free and being able to move around like I wanted to, even though I wasn't making any money. Like $1 was nothing. It was ridiculous. But I didn't know, but I knew that I liked the freedom that I had. So that kind of started my journey. That's why I call the dolls my first real business because we didn't know what we were doing. I just knew that I liked the freedom that I had. So that kind of started my journey. We didn't know what we were doing. I just collector, and like, you paid $250 for a doll, and she was like, "Yeah, I have a whole lot of them." So she has a whole collection of them, and that pushed me into entrepreneurship. But for a long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I wanted to make money, and I wanted to take care of my daughter, and I wanted to have that good life that I had seen from her grandfather.
Wow. Wow, that is quite a journey. Okay. William?
Yes. Hey, Robert, I'm sure you have many questions for her, and I have several questions when you come back. But anyway, meet Robert Hicks, my groove brother, our groove brother, rather.
Hi, Robert.
Uh, Hello, Sister Audrey. How are you tonight?
I'm good in yourself.
All very good, very good. And also to everybody out there listening, welcome to episode number 75 of Groove Swing Speaks. And I've had a chance to take a look at your biography. Thank you. Um, it's a very extensive background. I think what caught my attention definitely is the 11 books that you have published. Some people don't have, some people haven't even published one. You have done above and beyond what I would say, and probably even have more in your in your mind to be able to produce. How did you turn your expertise into all these various different books? And other question is, how can people obtain some of your books as well?
So what happened was, anytime I would do something, like when I started the doll company, we didn't know anything about starting a doll company. We didn't know, that you had to get some clay sculpted and then take the clay and turn it into wax, and then take the wax and turn it into vinyl, and then take the vinyl and ship it to Hong Kong. We didn't know all of that. So I had to learn all of that. So once I learned all of that, people would ask me the questions of, how did you do that? And every time they would ask me, because I knew exactly what I did, I would just put it in a book. And back then, there were book fairs all over the place. Like Harlem had a book fair. They would have it every year. The Harlem Book Fair in New York. They would have the book expo at Jacob Javits in New York. And so I would just write the books and then go to the book fairs and sell the books. And but every time I would learn something new and people would ask me a question, I would put it into a book. And back then, there was no AI to help you do it. I had to actually sit down and type it all out. Now, mind you, none of my books are over like 150 pages, probably, except for the last one. So that's pretty much how I did it. When I learned something new, and I knew that people, wanted to know, and they wanted to have something that they could have in their hands, I would just sit down to my computer and just write it, like based on what I had lived and went through. And then I would put it on Amazon. And so, Amazon has been my platform for publishing for a very long time. Ever since they came out, I've been putting my books on Amazon and having them published there.
How well have
Absolutely.
you been?
Well, it's always important to make sure that.
Go ahead. My question, I'm sorry. How well have your books been on Amazon? Like, have you seen a significant income for you? Like, has that been like your motivating drive? Like, okay, you seen it like work for you?
No, not on Amazon. So what's interesting about Amazon is a huge distribution platform where you can put pretty much anything on there, right? What I have been able to do with Amazon, I have been able to become a, they call it Amazon influencer. So I can go live on the Amazon platform and live stream video on Amazon. That has been one of the things that has been very helpful. And I like it because I used to bring guests on my show, and I would go live on Amazon. If they had a book or product on Amazon, we could put it into the shopping cart, and then people can buy it, and we can see people buying the book, like right there. Like I can see it in my thing where people are buying it. But Amazon has been a place for credibility. It has not been like get rich kind of nothing. Not at all, because Amazon takes such a large chunk of your money, and I don't spend. It was my first fiction book. All my other books are nonfiction. This was a fiction book that I had did completely with AI. That book is doing really well, but it's doing well because I have it not only on Amazon, I have it across all of the platforms, including audio, which does really, really well. And it's not even my voice. Now that book is doing really well, and it's on Barnes and Noble. It's on all of the major book outlets. That book is doing really well. I have seen more money from that book than I've seen from any of the books that I have on Amazon. Now, when I go out and do book signings, I sell a lot of books. Like I just did the Atlanta Tech Week, and I sold a lot of books, but that was in person in front of people, not so much on Amazon. But Amazon is like a science. So you have to think about Amazon like a business by itself, right? And I tell people that because people think I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna do this book, and I'm gonna put it on Amazon and make all this money because Amazon has so much traffic. But you have to look at that one book as a business by itself and put just as much time into that one book as you would put into any other business. And I don't have the time to do that, so I don't do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fascinating. Robert, you had something else? I noticed that you put a couple of things up in the chat box here. Kind of explain to the audience who we have many listeners that aren't on Facebook or LinkedIn. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube right now. We also, our app is Studio W Buzz. Studio W. You can download it from your Apple App Store. We're also on Alexa. So that's audio only, and the website. Now, the entire broadcast will be up on the website in 24 hours, and that's studiow.buzz, studiow.buzz. Now, Robert, you putting up some information here. Kind of go through that a little bit because I'm sure there's a question to follow.
Yes, what I'm going through is Sister Belle Kearney's various different books that she has published, and we're able to do a quick little search on Amazon.com for some of these books. So if there's anybody who has, say, for instance, a need for specifically a guide for being an entrepreneur, a guide for information, understanding information about AI, family economics, all these various different books are available for you to purchase and for your family to purchase. And the one thing I did was, by going through the search here, came across your book, Sister Belle Curry, about, hopefully I'm saying the name right, Dasia, Dasia?
Yes, that's right. That is correct. So Deja was one of the big beautiful dolls. So was three of them. The reason I only did the book about inside of the book, it has all three of the dolls, but Deja was the best seller. And here's what's funny about that. Deja was the best seller. So it's a black doll, that's Deja. White doll, her name was Dawn. Hispanic doll, her name was Dina. And everybody loved Deja. White women hated Dawn. And I said to them, why do you hate her? Because I used to do a lot of shows. And they said, oh my gosh, she's just a big, ugly white girl. They hated her. And I'm thinking, wow, they hated her. They loved Deja, though. And Dina, they only would buy her because her name was Dina and because she had on purple. But Deja, everybody loved her. And so when I decided to do the book, I used Deja as my cover model. But inside of the book, you'll see different pictures from different doll collectors who took the dolls and remade them. Somebody made it Deja into Aretha Franklin and all kinds of different lingerie dolls. Like that is a huge community of people. And I had no clue about that until I got into the doll world. And when I got into the doll world, I was just amazed at like the money that people spend on dolls. Like you think it's just for your children, right? There are people out there who have thousands and thousands of dolls, and they will spend thousands and thousands of dollars on those dolls. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. So I spent 6 years in that space, just learning a lot about the space and, meeting some amazing people who just love dolls. And so Deja was my baby, and she was the one that everybody loved the most. So that's how she got to do the book cover. The Big Idea, I think it has all three. Well, I think Deja's on that one too. In the beginning, I had all three of the dolls on the first version of the Big Idea, but Deja is only I think she's the only one on the cover of that book as well.
Yes, absolutely. And it was, I would say, pretty much is the idea of being able to show different body types and also being able to be loving of everybody's body shape and style. Not everyone goes for the slim look. There are a few of us out there who do love full figure women, and we thank you for that, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because of loving of all different women, all different sizes. That's what I'm basically saying there. Also, one of the things that you've also have been excelling in is building businesses. You say you have almost 3 decades worth of experience in that. Would you consider that, sister, to be your superpower?
Yes, I feel like, it's so funny, Robert, that you say that. Me and creating things, that's my superpower. And it has taken me a long time to just accept that that's my superpower. Now, what I've learned is that I wasn't supposed to run all of those businesses. I was supposed to like learn them, maybe sell them, give them away, whatever. I used to try to do all of them and pull all of my hair out, like, okay, this is not working. Well, it wasn't working because I could create all of those things, but you can't run them all at the same time. So it took me a minute to understand, Audrey, all of the stuff that you know how to do is not just for you. It's for you and for you to share with other people. So now what I've been doing is creating, like I just created a football platform for high school football players called Turf Dreams. And what made me think about creating that platform is because my brother is a high school football coach. My nephew is a college football coach. And my baby nephew just got an NIL deal and went off to college in Indiana. He's an Indiana Hoosier. And so we have been a football family forever. My brother started playing football when he was 6, and we're a year apart. So I've been in football for my entire life, pretty much. But what I realized is that although I know a lot about football, I have a daughter, and my daughter is a girly girl. Like, she could care less. And we would go to the games to watch my nephew play or to watch my brother coach, and she'll be sitting there, she'll, I have no idea what's happening. And so I had this epiphany one day. I was like, how many parents, just go to the game and they have no idea what's going on? And I decided to use AI because this is where we are. I said, I'm going to use AI and I'm going to create a platform, and it's called Turf Dreams. And so Turf Dreams is a platform that will allow parents, coaches, and the players to all communicate inside of the platform. Parents can find out what's happening. They can sync their calendar up with the kids and the coaches. The coaches will go in there and put in plays and workout plans. They can do meal plans and recovery plans, all inside of it, all while watching the grades of the students. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to run this business, right? Because, my family does football, but my nephews and my brother, they are not techie. They call me to plug in the computer. They call me to fix the printer. They're not techie like that. Right. So for me to even think that they were going to do the business, I'm like, they're not going to do this business. So I literally just put it up for sale because I was like, it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. And I don't have time to go out to the football field and talk to all the coaches. I don't have time to do that. So, I'm learning now that although I can create all of these things, I'm not supposed to actually run them all. So I think I have about 4 of them actually going to sell. And that's one of them. So Turf Dreams is one of them.
Fantastic.
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
definitely. And that basically just allows you to have more time to yourself, your family, to be able to take time for yourself and just build on whatever new ideas, and have somebody else running them. But you originally had the thought, the idea. You can consider yourself the owner of it, and then now all it is now you just having somebody else do the grunt work or be the operating officer or executive officer for that specific company.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that. I actually talked to my daughter's boyfriend, who is actually a football coach as well. And that was like part of the original plan. Like, I'm going to create it. I'm going to maintain it. I'm going to make sure all the tech is working all the time. You're out there. You're talking to parents. You're with the players. Take the program and share it with people. And so I thought that was what was going to happen, but that didn't happen. And I was like, yeah, but now it's just sitting, on my website inside of my tools chest with all the rest of my tools, and it's not doing anything. So I just decided, you know what? Well, let me just sell it. And I literally just put it on sale like last Friday. Like, I was like, nothing's gonna happen with it. Everybody's doing their
Fascinating.
own thing. I'm just gonna sell it. So yeah,
Interesting.
let's do it. That'd be great. Maybe I won't
Right.
sell it.
Okay. Now you say it is for sale, or you still willing to work with someone and you guys co-manage it, or they run it and you just sell it, or do you still want to be involved with it if someone is interested in doing that?
It's on the market for sale right now. But if someone said, I'll be willing to work with you, I might reconsider and take it off the market. I'm the tech person. I'm not the salesperson. I'm the person that's going to make sure all the tech is working right, all the updates are done, all the bugs are out of the system. That's me. That's what I'm gonna do. That person has to take that platform and go out and share with students and parents and teachers, and because it's a good platform. It allows you to go in there and put in like the student's weight and his height and his position and have it create a meal plan based on that, right? So if it's a cornerback who's 5'9", he may be too short. He should eat something different. So it's a lot of AI built into the platform to help parents and coaches with that type of stuff. So it's a good platform, but if somebody reach out and say, hey, don't sell it, let's work together. Okay, let's talk.
Okay. It sounds interesting. And I'm thinking about that. We have a show on this network. It's increasingly popular too. And it's called the Studio W Sports Page. And we have 5 panelists on that show. And they talk about everything, football, basketball, baseball, but they're really to football and basketball. And the football season is coming up. So I might ask you to come on that platform one Saturday. It's on Saturdays, and it starts 3 p.m. right here on the East Coast and noon on the West Coast. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
I find it interesting, and it's called Turf Dreams. Interesting, very interesting. What I want to get into or ask you about, you mentioned earlier, is that you started building your own website, and that is right there. That takes a lot of thinking, a lot of ingenuity, and you taught. It sounds like you're a self-taught individual, and you've been doing this for a while. Now, did you learn on your own how to build a website? Did you find, how did you go about doing that? Because so many people are interested in having a website. They don't know what to do. There's coding involved. And that's the second part of my question too.
Well, when
Did
I
you
started,
teach yourself how to? Go on, please.
so what I did was I went to a school back in '94 to learn how to do websites and I started out with a company called SciSoft. And then right after I finished the school and graduated, Microsoft came out with Microsoft Front Page. I don't know if I'm sure a lot of web designers said, "Yep, I remember that." And that was an HTML software. So I taught myself HTML through Front Page, and then I just kept going after that. And then I started to build sites on WordPress, and I've been doing that ever since, WordPress sites. And now I just, with AI, you can just spin up a site in a minute and create something amazing. I create a lot of smart sites for people right now, and the smart sites have like a virtual assistant built into the site that'll answer the phone and transfer the messages and book appointments and answer questions and things like that. So I build more smart sites now, but I do those with smart tools like Lovable and Bolt and Replit and all of those great platforms like that, the Hostinger, like just some amazing platforms. Like, gone are the days where you really need to know how to be a super coder. You need to understand some things. And if you keep it super simple, you don't need to understand anything but how to speak and read English or whatever language that your tongue is, because it'll translate it too. So it's amazing right now, in my opinion.
Wow.
It is amazing what you do. Like I said, we have a website, and you'll probably believe this. And it took me a while. The first person who built my website, we've had our website now going on 11 years. And I hated it. I hated it because it didn't give me what I wanted, didn't give me the information. It was just a website, and it was actually a player for the website. So you can listen to music, you can listen to our shows and things of that nature. And then it was only, and as a matter of fact, I was talking to my son one day, and I said, I need someone to build a website. So he said, why don't you call your grandson? I said, what? He knows it? He said, I don't know. So I called my grandson and asked him, I said, do you know anything about building a website? He said, no, granddad, but give me a few days, I'll let you know. And in less than a week, he had my website up and running. I'm saying, how in the world did he do this with no knowledge at all? Because it is a very difficult thing to do if you don't know anything about it. And so what I find what you do is so fascinating. And also, I had your information up, but there's something that you do with artificial intelligence right now, and you share that information. You are the founder of a couple of platforms, and where you go out and you teach other people how to use artificial intelligence. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just completed 2 boot camps, 2 5-day boot camps. They were 5 day in a row. And I teach people how to leverage certain tools to create their own tools. So I'll give you a prime example. There was I met a young lady at the Georgia AI Summit. We did the Georgia AI Summit in May, and she was an attendee at the event. And when I met her, she was telling me that she worked in corporate America, but her husband was a fitness trainer. And she was like, I want to create something to support my husband and what he does. And I said, okay, cool. So she signed up for the class. So I had a class of people. I think it was about 10 people in the class. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 7:30 every day for 5 straight days. So on the very first day, we go through ideation, which we kind of go through and find a problem, right? Because if there's a problem in every industry, there's a bunch of problems in pretty much every industry, in life in general. And as we were talking and ideating, she looked at me and she looked at the camera. She said, I have this paper here. So she put the paper up to the camera. And when she put the paper to the camera, it had like all of these colored boxes on it, right? And I was like, what is that? She said, well, I am studying menopause. And I said, okay. Now she's in I think she said she's in perimenopause. I had never heard of perimenopause. I'm like, what is that? So she said there are 3 stages of menopause. There's peri, menopause, and post. She said, and I'm studying that because women don't even know that there are some things that they should not be doing in either one when they're in certain stages of menopause. And I was like, really? So she was talking and she said, I think I want to pause my husband's thing, and I think I want to launch this thing for women. And I said to her, yeah, you're about to be rich with that one, because do you know how many hot flashes? You outside, you see people that walking with fans and they had the little fan in their hand. It's hilarious. But she decided that she wanted to do that particular tool, and she did it in 5 days that we took the boot camp. So the boot camp is really a boot camp, and it's hands-on. So you're sitting and we're creating together. So the first day we're ideating, trying to come up with a good idea based on what you do. I had one gentleman in the class. He was he had a cake catering company, and he was trying to figure out how to add another stream of income to his cake catering company. So when it was slow, what could he do? And I asked him, what's one of the problems that your industry have? He said, inventory. That's a huge problem when you're baking cakes and cupcakes. And so we did some ideation and we came up with a tool for that particular industry. So anybody that will do that, bake cakes and cupcakes, and they probably pretty much have the same problem. And he was able to create a tool just for that. So I mean, you get to think about what problem can you solve, and AI can pretty much solve them. Now, once somebody did reach out to me and say, well, I got a problem. And I said, what's the problem? I need to figure out how to solve the insurance problem, the car insurance. I say, good luck on that one. I don't think you're going to be able to find an AI tool to solve that problem, because you got to fight the big boys, and they're not trying to make these rates lower. So I haven't figured that one out yet. And if you figure it out, let me know. So, but
Right.
outside of that big problem, anything you could possibly think of. There was an attorney that took the class. Matter of fact, she's a swing. She took the class. She was in the first boot camp class, and she's an attorney. And she was saying, well, I just want to do my purses. That's her side hustle, right? Her purses. And as we kept talking, I said to her, what about your industry? You feel like there's a gap? And she told me what it was. She has a passion for reentry. And I was like, really? She said, yeah. So we sat down and we came up with a product for her to she put the purses aside for reentry, for a tool for reentry. Because she was an attorney and she was a criminal attorney. And so she knew that
Mhm.
recidivism is huge, and it's a lot in a lot of areas, and people go back because of lack of resources and support. And that was a passion for her. So we did something in that space.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we get too late in it, tell people how they can contact you if they want to sign up for your services. How do they contact you? Let's give them your website, any contact information you wish to share with the audience.
Sure. You can contact me at noisemedia.us. That's noisemedia.us. Or you can email me, Audrey, at noisemedia.us. And that's AUDREY at noisemedia.us. Or send me a text message, 678-809-0344, 678-809-0344.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So now you mentioned something about AI. It's honest. It has been around for a while, and a lot of us don't realize how AI can be beneficial to us. Can you talk to us also a little bit about the good? When I posted this program today, I mentioned something about the good, the bad, the ugly of AI with our jobs and our future. So, can you tell us a little bit about the flip side of AI, the dangers of AI if we don't know how to use it properly?
Yeah. So some of the main dangers is all of the cloning that's happening right now. Like the tools are so smart and so advanced, so a lot of people can get lost with not understanding what's real and what's not real. One of the prime examples is I heard somebody talk about I had to go speak at Clayton County. They had an economic development meeting and I had to speak, and they asked me this very same question. I said, one of the things that I'm afraid of, especially for elders, is that the tools are so smart that you can see people and you can get phone calls and it sounds just like people, like you and I talking. It looks just like you and I talking. And what made me bring that up at that meeting was because my uncle who lives with me, he's 72 years old. He came to me and he said to me, order this for me. Right. And I said, what is that? And it was something he had seen on TikTok, but he thought it was a doctor. And I said to him, it's not a doctor. That's AI. He's like, no, it's a doctor. I was like, it's not a doctor. It's AI. I said, I don't order anything off TikTok. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I don't order anything off TikTok, but that's not a doctor. So you got people who have to be very careful about, what they see and what they hear, because it sounds so amazing. Like I had a client, two clients, as a matter of fact, year before last. Both of them wanted to have a podcast. Neither one of them had time. One of my clients, she had a security agency that she was running, and the other one had a tax agency. But they knew that they wanted to be out on all platforms. So I just used AI and created podcast for them. Just came up with a character, came up with a voice. It sounded amazing. So every time I would play it for people, they was like, "Is that AI?" Yes, it's AI, and we did podcasts with the AI. So that's one thing. The other thing that we're finding is that people are starting to grow attached to AI, and instead of being connected to people. And so that's a fear that a lot that we're seeing right now, because AI can talk back to you. Like I launched something. I know what it was. I launched what's called a Unity quilt. So I'm trying to create a world record, and it's a digital quilt. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna launch this quilt, because I was watching the news and I was like, this is terrible. We need more unity in the world. So of course, me being who I am, like, okay, I'm gonna launch a digital quilt. And that's what I did. So I launched, it's called a Unity quilt, unityquilt.world. And I went to ChatGPT. I said, yeah, give me all the information to put on the quilt. But then I started to think, well, if I have people adding all of these images to the quilts, that image has to be stored somewhere. And if you don't know how to use AI, you could get this huge bill because you are paying for storage. And if you don't pay attention to that, you'll get sticker shock. So I was like, well, I'm gonna say it's $1 donation to add your quilt square to the quilt. Well, the AI came back and said, "Oh, that's a great idea, but you should add a sponsorship spot too." Now, this is what it's telling me. I hadn't even thought about that. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you should add a sponsorship spot for like $25." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Hadn't even thought about that. So the AI, once you put all your information in, if you use it as much as I do, it knows you. And so what's happening in some instances is that it knows the person. It can talk back to you, not verbally, but it could talk back verbally. But for the most part, it can answer you back just as if we were having a conversation. People tend to get attached to that, especially when people are lonely, especially when there's nobody else for them to talk to. And so that's kind of scary too. There was a 14-year-old boy who had started to have like an affair of some type with his AI, and he killed himself. So we have to learn how to police the AI at the same time, because AI is a tool. There are people who believe that AI is evil and all these things. Well, it is very smart, but it's people that runs the AI. To run out, the AI does not run us, and that's what we have to remember. That's what we have to remember, that we can't let AI run us, and when AI starts to run us, that's when it gets super, super dangerous. So we have to keep that in mind.
Right. That's
and we have to protect our elders. We have to protect our vulnerable people, because
no, but you're right. You're exactly right. I saw something. It was something that was disturbing on Facebook the other day, and it was something. Now you have some nefarious people out here. Now I'm a believer that AI is a great, great tool if it's in the right hands, and in the wrong hands, it can be very, very dangerous. For instance, like you mentioned before,
yes.
it can take or listen, or someone can use AI and it can listen to your voice for just a few sentences or so, and they can put out something that sounds exactly like you. They can even put out pictures that look like you. And I saw something that was quite disturbing the other day. It was something that was nefarious against Black people, and someone had generated this on AI. And some people, evil people, they thought it was funny, but it can also be a tool that can use to scam people. So that's why we really need to know about it. At least get the gist of what it can do, what it can't do, and we can't fall for some of these scams that's out here, because some people are using AI to scam people, like elderly people, out of their money,
Yeah.
and so forth and so forth. There was another story. I've seen a couple of stories about people calling and say, you need to send me money real quick, because your grandson or your son or somebody here is in jail or something like that. And this one couple, they found out. They said, "Women, hold it. My grandson is only 2 years old." you know and so, but people will do things like that, and you get hung up in it. Like I said, I'm a fan of AI. I think that it is a great tool, and there's so many great things you can do with it. I want to touch on something before we only have about 16 minutes left to go, but I want to talk about how AI right now, they're replacing so many jobs. How can someone who's afraid of losing their job, and they're uncertain about their careers, how can they use AI to say, okay, well, I can start this, I can start that, I can do this to make money? They were talking about how AI you're going to lose a lot of jobs with AI, especially in the future, but there's so many other jobs that's available. What types of jobs that are available using AI that you can talk about or think about?
Well, the first one I could tell you, when AI first came out, I don't know if you guys saw this, but AI came out, and the first job that showed up was prompt engineering. And prompt engineering was like some companies $1,000. So people lost their mind. It was like $300,000 to become a prompt engineer. Well, that's still a very lucrative position right now, because everything that AI is built on is based on prompting. Unless you're like the developer that's creating like these language models, like, if you're creating open AI, if you're creating Claude, if you're creating Perplexity, that's the developer side. But on the front end side, that these are the people that's putting in all of the content, and they're training the AI, they're putting in the prompts. So that's a prompt engineering job, right? So those jobs aren't going anywhere. AI is going to replace a lot of jobs, and I tell people this, when I put on my chamber president hat, I have to look at economics of like where we stand. It is going to replace a lot of jobs, but here's the thing: the people that are going to take your jobs are the people that understand AI. So everybody right now, if you plan on staying an employee, you should be taking some kind of AI certification. It does not have to be data scientist or data analyst, but you should have some kind of AI certification under your name on your LinkedIn account, so that when people look for you, they're looking for that position, and they see, and employees are telling you, they're saying, we need to make sure that these people understand AI. So you need to have that on hand. As far as opportunities, I will say this: everybody's not cut out to be an entrepreneur. It's not. They're not. Right now, if you want to be a side hustle for a minute till you grow to become an entrepreneur, then by all means do that. But being an entrepreneur is hard, and I've been one for 28 years, and I could tell you that I've cried so many nights, because I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I sign up for this? What's wrong with me? That's not for the faint of heart. It's nothing like getting up and going to work and coming home and turning it off and relaxing. I hardly ever relax. It's the craziest thing. Like, I'll leave, I'll go have dinner tonight, and at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm looking at YouTube. That's me. And my husband's probably pissed off because I won't turn the TV off. So you got to figure out where you want to be as this shift is happening. It's happening right now, and it's happening fast. I looked at, I think it was Amazon last week, laid off 40,000 people. We have a young man who spoke at the Georgia AI Summit. He's a robotics engineer, has 5 degrees, sweet guy. He's such a beautiful young man. But he said to me, Audrey, I'm creating a robot right now that goes underwater and does all these things. You need to understand robotics. You need to understand how to program the AI inside the robots. Those jobs are coming. They're not going anywhere. And if you haven't seen it yet, take a look at the robot that was chasing people down the street the other day, the police robot. Somebody has to maintain those robots. So learn how to maintain, learn how to create the software that powers the robots. Those are jobs that people have to know how to do. And the crazy thing about it is that they're not as hard to learn as you may think, because You can sit down with
Mm.
ChatGPT and say, teach me how to understand coding, right? It can code for you, but it can
Mm.
teach you how to understand the language at the same time. But if you want the certification, you go to like a Coursera, you go to a Udacity, and you get the many certifications and put those, or LinkedIn Learning, I think it is, and you put those on your profile. So AI is going to take some jobs. Is customer service definitely going to take that job? You know why? Because you can go and spend $35 on a voice assistant that's going to answer the phone. It's going to book the appointments. It's going to send out the emails. It's going to send out the payment links. It's going to take that job. It's going to answer all 1,000 questions that the company had. It's going to take those jobs. But here's the thing: somebody has to manage the AI. So you become an AI manager. That is, I saw they had a title called Chief. It was Chief AI Officer. I was like, oh my God, Chief AI Officer. That's a position. I heard someone say it a few weeks ago, Chief AI Officer. So you may want to think, okay, maybe I need to focus on being a Chief AI Officer. What does that mean? That means that you don't know just one platform. You know about 3 or 4. So for me, I know, oh my God. So I use ChatGPT. I use, and these are called tech stacks. I use Lovable. I use Leonardo. I use Suno. I use Canva. I use Bolt. These are the stacks. I'm sure I use something else. These are the stacks that I use all the time. 11 Labs. I use HeyGen. These are my stacks. So that makes me somewhat of a generalist. Now you don't have to be a specialist. You need to be a generalist. You need to be able to use Perplexity. You need to understand what Claude does and what Gemini does. And once you understand all these things and put them on your resume, that makes you more valuable. And this is how you're going to have to compete. Now, there are going to be some people say, I don't care, I'm not doing it no matter what. And they're going to get left behind. And there are going to be some people say, you know what? I heard what she said. Let me go out here and see where I can find this certification for at least one of these. Let me do that like right now. And then there's some people say, I'm trying to retire, Audrey. I don't care what you say. I'm not doing any of that stuff. And that's cool too. But just know it's not going anywhere. It's advancing really, really quickly. And if you want to stay in either the entrepreneur space or the employment space, you got to know the tools.
And you mentioned something very interesting. You can become part of the situation, so part of the solution here by getting involved, learning something. You could be like you say, a manager or a generalist or anything like that. But what I hear from both sides is that there are positions that will be and are available right now, and also AI can be used on the other side, where if you have a business, you can use it to promote your business. Can I kind of talk about that? I think you talked about it a little bit earlier. How you guys, let's say for instance, this radio station, and I really want to promote this station. We have, like I said, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have Alexa, we have a website, we have apps and stuff like that. And if I wanted to maximize my business, what would you suggest that I do to maximize my business
So
using AI?
I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing. I'm about to start doing this now. So I have been doing Good Morning Gwinnett since 2018, right? And it was a morning show. I was coming on live every morning, Monday through Friday, talking about what's happening around Gwinnett County, which is where I live. I've done about 1,200 episodes. And but I was like, man, I need to scale the show, and I don't have a team. Like, you got a team. I don't have a team of people. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to launch a weekend show. And I'm going to launch a sports show. And all of that's going to be AI. The voice is AI, the intro is AI, the outro is AI, all AI. I'm going to automate that so it can pull like information based on what sports I want to pull. And it's going to turn that, it's going to take the RSS feed and it's going to turn that into an episode, and it's going to post it on my podcast platform. That's what I'm going to be doing. And I said to my husband, I'm ready to scale like Good Morning Gwinnett, and I can't scale it without, bringing on people. So I was like, let me just leverage AI to automate the whole system and bring in new shows with new voices and new blood, AI blood. But that's one of the things I'm doing. The other thing that you can do, because you have so much video content, is use Opus Clip. I forgot about that one. I use that one all the time. If you use Opus Clips, Opus Clip will take your YouTube video and Opus, OPUS, and it's Opus Pro. If you use Opus, it will take your YouTube video and slice it into a bunch of little 3-minute, 2-minute, 1-minute segments, and then you can redistribute those on all of those platforms to help you get like views when it comes to like shorts, right? Now, if you sign up to the pro plan, soon as you do a video and it's connected to your YouTube account, it's going to automatically chop it up for you. You don't even have to tell it to do it. It's going to chop it up for you. All you got to do is go in there and download those episodes. So now you got a bunch of smaller episodes, shorts that you can put on all your other platforms. That's another way to do it. Another thing you can do is just create audio clips. Just like you do the video clips, create audio clips and put those on places. So it is a way to take that content. This is going to be an hour-long show. Take this content and repurpose it in so many different ways, you know, and share it across all your platforms and schedule it to go out. Like when I do my videos, I will take Opus clip, I'll chop it up, and I'll schedule each one of those to go out for like the next 7 to 10 days. And most of the time, if I think I'm going to be away, it's 10 days. If I know that I'm going to do a new video before that time is up, I'll do 7 days. But if I'm thinking, I might not be here, or I might not feel like doing it, that short go out for 10 days and it links back to my YouTube channel. So it's a way to use all of these tools to just automate a lot of things. And I just want to say one last thing about the jobs. Automation for a lot of small businesses is a great way to get your foot in the door, because there are a lot of solopreneurs who don't have a team and they don't have a budget to pay a team. So if you can sit down and learn how to do automation, you can go out to your community and help a lot of small businesses increase their productivity and save time and money and increase revenue by becoming their automation partner to help them get those things set up. So that's a great way to do a side hustle without leaving your full-time job. You can go out on the weekend and say, let me just go visit businesses on the weekend and start to automate things for them.
How did you learn all of this stuff? This is fascinating. It's
Staying up late at night watching YouTube.
That's why your husband is angry, huh?
Yes.
Hey,
but you know what, Willie? I use all the tools. Like I was here today adding a directory to my website, right? So I'm here. I use AI every day for something. So I was adding a local directory to the website as a part of my scale plan.
This is absolutely incredible. Let's see, Robert, let me put this up there. Okay. Some AI certifications are free when you search online. I understand that. Okay. Yes. Guys, this has been fascinating. Please promise us that you'll come back.
Absolutely. Just tell me when.
Okay. I have several platforms that you can appear on. We'll talk, okay? We will talk. But this has been absolutely fascinating. I was telling Rock, and I want to thank our program director, and that is Rock. Rock is outstanding. So she's responsible for scheduling all these wonderful guests that we have. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening right now, please share this platform. Please share this information with your friends. It's on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Go to Studio W, The Buzz, and check out. We're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Music talk, sports, comedy, entertainment, and a whole lot more. Tiffany, I'm sure you have one other question.
I do.
Yes. Please.
One thing I can say about AI, I haven't dived into it. I'm like just coming around the idea of like maybe tapping into it, because it's never like drawn to me. But I can see the benefits of it. But the one thing I can say, because I'm a writer, and so the one thing that I can say that AI does not have is soul. It does not have soul. Like you're not gonna be able to. Granted, it can create a good story for you, but being able to, like you said, talk to another individual and them truly understanding where you're coming from, or maybe gaining a different perspective, which I know AI can provide that as well, but just having that compatibility, so to speak, or that yin yang type of relationship. So that's one thing I tell people all the time. Like I see its benefits, but it does not have soul, which is where the people still stand. One of the questions I do have here, it is, and I think this is something that y'all was referring to earlier, is how did you know it wasn't a doc? What gave it away? What are the signs? I think it's something, I can't remember what it was that was being, what you guys were talking about, but that's a question that I got We'll give it away. What are the signs? How did you know it wasn't a dog? I'm not sure. Rod, you have to give us more context as to what you're talking about there. So that's something
How
that
did I
Rod.
know it was a doctor?
You know, it said, how did she know it wasn't a dog? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
A doctor?
I'm not. Yeah, she said a doctor. Yeah, she said a doctor. How did you know it wasn't a doctor?
A doctor. So if you pay attention to the AI right now, it's still not perfect yet, right? So if you pay attention, you can know. And if you like, I do it every day, so you'll see like the same kind of hand gesture, the same kind of eye gesture, the same kind of head gesture. So for me, I can pick up on that easily. But for an elderly person who's just looking at the doctor and thinking that what they're hearing is coming out of the doctor's mouth, they won't pick that up because they're just thinking this is a doctor. They have on a white lab coat, and this is what my uncle thought. The guy was a black guy. He had on a lab coat. They had like a doctor scene. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, that's not. But and the crazy thing about that one, the mouth wasn't even matching the words. So he didn't see that. All he did was hear what they were saying. And he saw the doctor. But if you look at some of the AI that's out right now, even though it's really, really good, if you pay attention, you'll see that some of the facial gestures are the same. Like every 10 seconds, you'll see the same gesture. You'll see the same movement. You'll see the same hand, and it looks good. And the voices sync with the voices actually sync with the mouth, but the gesture will keep doing that, repeating itself like every 10 seconds. So you got to pay for that. Now they have AI right now. You can see somebody doing backflips, and it looks so real, but they'll keep doing the same backflip. So you just got to pay attention to the small things. Pretty soon, we won't be able to tell. And I feel like that's going to push us back to doing things in person, because that's going to be the only way you can tell whether or not something is real. We're going to have to go back to, like, as much as I like AI, I feel like we're going to be forced to go back and start doing things in person so we can know that the person we're talking to is a real person.
Absolutely. Wow, I can't believe we're out of time. Robert, do you have one last comment, one last question, one last thought, and before we toss it back to Audrey?
I just want to say thank you very much, Sister Audrey, for being here this evening. It was a pleasure having you, listening to you. You're very lots of experience, and also as you are on the cutting edge when it comes down to AI, podcasting, writing books, creating businesses, and it's definitely someone that people should reach out to. And our contact information is on, if you have a chance to go through the Chiron and see her information, just reach out to her. And I would say about the other thing is just as a reminder for Groove Fi Groove and Swing Fi Swing, we will be in Houston next week, beginning July 16th to the 20th. For our conclave. So if you're in the Houston area, come on out and see how the Black and White and Black family do it.
Absolutely. This is absolutely incredible. And Georgette Taylor says, yes, loves everything about that Audrey shares, everything that Audrey shares. And Audrey, I can concur with that. I love this segment. I knew when I read your bio, I said, this is going to be fascinating. I told Rock earlier, I said, I'm waiting for this one because I've been talking about AI for a while. But you, to me, are the best person, expert that I'm going to call you an expert because you are in this that I've ever spoken to about this. So I'll be glad to have you back on not only this platform, but we have a few others that, and each platform has a different audience, right? Some listen over to all of our platforms, but certain people like certain things, and that's okay. That's why we have a variety station. But I would love for you to come back on this platform and our other platforms as well. So thank you so much. And my hat is off to you for what you do. You are providing a service, and people need to listen to what you have to say. You studied this, you know this, and it's just been absolutely incredible. It's been an incredible honor. So thank you, my sister, for coming on and gracing us with your presence and your knowledge. So I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me, and thank you. It's nice to meet both of you. So thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we'll talk soon. All right. And guys, thank you
Okay.
so much. Episode number 75. Robert, thank you. Tiffany, thank you. And we want to especially thank you, our audience, because guys, you could be doing anything, but you chose to listen to us. And so we really appreciate it. So